ओम स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। ओम तच्छंयोदावृणीमहे गातुं यज्ञाय गातुं यज्ञपतये दैवी स्वस्तिरस्तु नः स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वं जिगातु भेषजं शन्नो अस्तु द्विपदे शञ्चतुष्पदे। ओम शांति शांति शांति।
जय भगवद गीता। ओम स्वस्ति अस्तु। ओम स्वस्ति अस्तु। ओम स्वस्ति अस्तु। गम गणपतये नमः। ओम गम गणपतये नमः। ओम गम गणपतये नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। ब्रह्म विद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्ण अर्जुन संवादे गीतायाः पुस्तकं यत्र यत्र पाठ प्रवर्तते तत्र सर्वाणि तीर्थानि प्रयागादीनि तत्र वै।
Yes, exactly.
Di mana Bhagavad Gita berada, di mana Bhagavad Gita dibacakan, di sana segala tempat suci datang berkumpul, seperti Triweni, Prayag, dan lain-lain, semua datang berkumpul. Jadi pertemuan seperti ini adalah pertemuan suci. Wherever Bhagavad Gita is kept, wherever Bhagavad Gita is read, all the holy places like Prayag, Triweni, and other holy places, dwell in that place. Which will come gathering in this Gita gathering. So I quote that beautiful verse to start this webinar. All glories to Bhagavad Gita. Dear all friends, it is a happiness, special happiness, for not only for me, for all of us, to meet here, together here in this webinar on Bhagavad Gita. First of all, I would like to introduce to all of you the background of this webinar on Bhagavad Gita. We need to understand this first so that in the future we will give our time to be together in this webinar again and again, non-stop in this life. A few years ago, in the beautiful island of Bali, on the 16th June 2016, we all, the lovers of Bhagavad Gita from 17 countries, gathered in the art hall called Kira Aranama in the capital of Bali, Denpasar. That day, we started the first International Bhagavad Gita Conference with the theme, the universal message of Bhagavad Gita for the peace of the world. It's a beautiful theme. The universal message of Bhagavad Gita for the peace of the world. It was attended by around 1,000 people, especially the presence of the speaker of the DPD RI, Dr. Gusman I forgot his name, sorry. He came from the capital, Jakarta, by a special chartered flight, I think, only to inaugurate the Bhagavad Gita conference. After the program, that night itself, he flew back to Jakarta. Besides that, the presence of the governor of Bali that time also gave significance to the conference. Both the Speaker of the Parliament and Governor of Bali, they both gave excellent messages on Bhagavad Gita to all present there that day. There were also present many members of the central and local parliament, many respected associate leaders, religious leaders, rectors of universities, representatives from police, army, and also university students, para mahasiswa, and the general public. Another interesting point that was that all and everything was done in the Ngayah principle. Ngayah principle is voluntary principle. From us, by us, to us. Dari kita, oleh kita, untuk kita. 6 days before the Bhagavad Gita conference, the organizers had zero fund. And up until the end of the conference, the fund still zero. But amazingly, all and everything went on very well and perfectly. I had never seen the governor of Bali showing his thumbs up to show his happiness. But that day, the governor gave us double thumbs up, which was very important for our morale. Another thing which is not less important was the colossal Balinese dance performance that's performed before the inauguration of the Bhagavad Gita conference. It was performed by Art School Sanggar Kesenian Paripurna under the leadership of Mr. Madi Sidye from Bono, Gianyar, Bali. This art school is internationally acclaimed. He created such a thought-provoking dance. How people express that, I think Professor Rao also, you still remember that performance, yeah?
Yeah, excellent performance.
Yeah, amazing.
Amazing.
It's about the appearance of Bhagavad Gita, which was performed by 130 artists. The dance was so beautiful, which I should say was not an ordinary dance, but a divine dance. The combination of the dance with wayang kaca, it's a kind of glass puppet, was so beautiful and real, especially when Krishna saw his universal form of Vishwarupa, Krishnamurti or Vishnumurti. He showed to Arjuna. That was so incredible. At the same time, it was very rare. In fact, I'm sure that many Balinese people had never seen that kind of wayang kaca in their life. Many friends couldn't hold their emotions back. Many of them were so deeply touched that they were moved to tears, including one priest from India. He wept his tears several times with his soul. He mentioned it to me several times when we met afterwards in India or elsewhere. All in all, that first International Bhagavad Gita conference was a super success. We were planning to organize the International Bhagavad Gita conference every 2 years or 5 years in different countries in the world. together with Professor Upendra Rao and Dr. Lydia and others, Vanessa, Yasmin, and many others. We already had an offer from an institution in India to organize the second International Bhagavad Gita Conference. And they were ready with the funds. But then we had to cancel it due to some reasons that were unavoidable. Many friends of mine in business also that in Delhi and Varanasi, Rishikesh, also have proudly declared that they will support our conference. One of my friends, the owner of a big university in India, also wished to organize this International Bhagavad Gita conference. But again, we had another problem which we couldn't avoid. He was very busy with his traveling to other countries, and I was also busy with my traveling to Europe, Russia, and India. So we couldn't synchronize our time to organize the conference. Then I went to Varanasi last year. We spoke with some professors there and also very famous and exclusive institutions of scholars who also wanted to help us to organize the conference in the holy city of Varanasi in October 2020. But then again, because of the coronavirus situation, which we all knew this, aware of this, which created havoc worldwide. A month ago, I had to cancel the conference again. A few months ago, when I started my program online webinars, I had in my mind, why shouldn't we organize webinars on Bhagavad Gita under our banner, the International Bhagavad Gita Conference? And that is how we are all here today in our first series of webinars on Bhagavad Gita. I can say that this is the inauguration of our webinar series. That is why in this first webinar on Bhagavad Gita, we choose three special speakers from different countries, each with their own chosen topic. So today is a very auspicious day. Professor Rao will explain to us all about this later. It is a Chaturthi holiday inside the Gupta Navaratri. Nowadays, people are in their very special spiritual practice for 10 days. So inside in this 6 Navaratris, this Navaratri, Gupta Navaratri is very special. And this Chaturthi is inside of this very auspicious Navaratri. So you can see how lucky we all, we are so lucky to be here in this very auspicious day with Bhagavad Gita. So this Chaturthi is a very powerful Navaratri, which is giving very good result for whatever good and sublime things that we do. So today we started our webinar on Bhagavad Gita on this auspicious day, a day full of blessing. I remember that our first Bhagavad Gita print out was on the Ganesh Chaturthi day without prior arrangement. We didn't organize that. They didn't arrange that. It came out from the printing on the Ganesh Chaturthi day. The same happened today that we started that webinar series on a very auspicious day. Through this all of us, we need to wisely translate the blessing of this webinar on Bhagavad Gita and to continue it every month. We will introduce the first speaker to all of you. That's Professor C. Upender Rao. Professor Upender Rao will speak about divine and demonic natures as depicted in the Bhagavad Gita. Professor Upender Rao is a professor of Sanskrit and Pali in School of Sanskrit and Indic Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, India. He is a chairperson of Special Center for Sanskrit Studies, GNU. He was visiting professor on ICCR chair in Cambodia and a member of World Sanskrit Award Committee, ICCR. He has visited many countries to give lectures and seminars. Professor Rao is my good friend. We already together in many years. I used to invite him for my conferences, and he also invited me for the conferences that he organized. He speaks Sanskrit like we are speaking our mother tongue, so fluently, unbelievable. He is also a very good poet, writing many poems in Sanskrit, especially this very rare skill. To write poems in Sanskrit is not ordinary things. To speak Sanskrit is not ordinary things, and to write poems in Sanskrit is unbelievable skills. He is also a good yoga teacher. That's many people didn't know this. He's a good yoga teacher, even though he is super busy today. He set aside time to speak here today for benefit of all, for the happiness of all. He will speak about divine and demonic nature in Bhagavad Gita. Devi Sampat and Asuri Sampat. Yes, Professor. So, Professor Upender Rao ji, now the floor is yours. You can start with explaining the importance of today. Yeah. Thank you very much. Your floor is now. Please.
Thank you very much, Professor Mayasa. I'm very happy that we are successfully starting. I'm very happy that we are successfully starting program, our Bhagavad Gita program today online. Today we are starting because all good activities should be started on auspicious day. So today is a very auspicious day. That is why we are starting today. Today is Vinayaka Chaturthi. Devotees from across the country of India and also everywhere worship Lord Ganesha widely because he is considered one of the most prominent gods of Hindu culture. We say every work is started after the salutations to Ganesha. Without salutations to Ganesha, no auspicious work should be started. That is why we are also starting today. Today is Vinayaka Chaturthi. His devotees observe a fast twice every month to impress the Almighty Ganesha and seek his blessings. The devotees of Lord Ganesha observe fast on Shukla Paksha Chaturthi and Krishna Paksha Chaturthi. Because in every month there are two Pakshas. 15 days are called Pakshas. Shukla Paksha is called waxing phase of the moon. Krishna Paksha is called waning phase of the moon. And Shukla Paksha Chaturthi is observed as a Vinayaka Chaturthi today. And there is also another Krishna Paksha Chaturthi also. But this Shukla Paksha Chaturthi is called, we call it Shukla Paksha means waxing phase of the moon. That means the waxing phase of the moon increases. That is Shukla Paksha. The fasting is observed on Shukla Paksha Chaturthi today. This is also known Vinayaka Chaturthi. While the Krishna Paksha is known Sankashta Chaturthi. Krishna Paksha Chaturthi is not known as a Vinayaka Chaturthi. It is known as Sankashta Chaturthi. So this year, Vinayaka Chaturthi is celebrated today, June 24th. When it is not like a very big festival of Vinayaka Chaturthi. There is another Vinayaka Chaturthi we have. But today is Shukla Paksha Chaturthi. The Vinayaka Chaturthi or Shukla Paksha Chaturthi is observed today. The Ashadha, this is the Ashadha Masa. This is the Ashadha Masa. The Ashadha Shukla Paksha Chaturthi will begin at 10:14 a.m. today. And it continues till the tomorrow, 25th June. The Ashadha Shukla Paksha Chaturthi begins today 10:14 a.m. and continues till the 25th of June. That means tomorrow. So we are now falling in between that. Now we are exactly in Vinayaka Chaturthi, Ashadha Shukla Paksha Chaturthi day. So this will end at 8:47 a.m. on June 25th. So tomorrow it will end also, 8:47. So now we have Shukla Paksha Chaturthi. This is auspicious time. Vinayaka Chaturthi is quite religiously celebrated all over India, and also wherever spiritual practitioners are there throughout the world also. But it is especially observed in Maharashtra more and more. On this day, Lord Ganesha's devotees wake up early in the morning and they take bath, and after finishing their bath in early morning, they wear the clothes, auspicious clothes, good clothes or the new clothes. However, it is optional because devotion is very important. Clothes are not very important. So with the great devotion, after taking bath in the morning, generally Lord Ganesha devotees observe fast on this day, from morning to evening, to appease the Lord Ganesha, to show our devotion. The devotees, however, are allowed to have the fast means it is not completely Nirjala fast. They are allowed to take the fruits and some sweets and some milk also. But this is permitted only after the Madhyana Puja. Until then, they cannot take even these things. On this day, Lord Ganesha's devotees light oil lamps, not the candle lamps, oil lamps, and do sankalpa and meditation to seek his blessings. To worship Lord Ganesha, his devotees chant the mantra. They can chant any mantra, but just now our respected teacher has chanted the same mantra. So that mantra they chant. Om Gan Ganeshaya, Om Gan Ganapataye Namaha. This is the mantra. To worship Lord Ganesha, his devotees generally chant this mantra. Om Gan Ganapataye Namaha. So Gan Ganapataye Namaha. Gan is a Bijakshar. And then Ganapataye Namaha means Namaha means salutations. Ganapataye means to Ganapati. So Ganapataye is a dative case. Namaha means Namaskar. Whenever we use Nama, we had to use dative case according to Sanskrit grammar. So, and after that, they offer Chandan and Kumkum to Ganesha. 21 strands of Dhruva, 21 strands of Dhruva grass, and red colored hibiscus flowers they offer. We call it Mandara Pushpa. Hibiscus flowers they offer to him. At last, devotees chant the Ganesha Arati and offer 5 types of fruits. What are the 5 types of fruits? The whole coconut, the banana, pan. Pan means there is a leaf, pan leaf, and supari, haldi, kumkum, and coins to Lord Ganesha to seek his blessings. So this is how the devotees offer to Ganesha and observe the puja, and ultimately this is very, very auspicious day. Today, I hope that we are starting, the Bhagavad Gita itself is auspicious. To start Bhagavad Gita, we don't need any other auspiciousness because he says that Bhagavad Gita Kinchid Adgita Ganga Jalalava Kanika Pita Sakrudapi Yesya Murari Samarcha Kriyate Yamena. So in this way, even Bhagavad Gita should be studied at least little bit. Kinchid Adgita. You see, after some days, Yama is waiting for us. Yama means the Lord of the God of death is always waiting for the human beings. We don't know when he will enter. But great teacher Shankaracharya says, those who study little bit of Bhagavad Gita also, Yama thinks twice to come to him. Because he is a devotee. He is a devotee and he is practicing Bhagavad Gita. Because Bhagavad Gita is such an auspicious scripture, such an auspicious Shastra, Yoga Shastra. That is why even little bit of Bhagavad Gita, because Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. Even Bhagavad Gita is not an independent book. It's a part of Mahabharata, the great epic of the world. Even then, Mahabharata, even then Bhagavad Gita has the great status. Like the great Shastra, even though it is a part of Mahabharata. It is originally it is a part of Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. Mahabharata also is having 18 parvas, very big chapters. One of them is Bhishma Parva. Bhagavad Gita comes into the Bhishma Parva, and Bhagavad Gita is 18 chapters, it's very big, but Shankaracharya says that even little bit, if you study Bhagavad Gita, Yama also has to think twice to come to you. So this is the importance of Bhagavad Gita. Today we are starting the International Bhagavad Gita online discourses and online meeting, a kind of meeting of devotees. It is very, very auspicious. This credit goes to our respected teacher, Prabhu Dharmayasa. So today we are starting this. Shall I continue?
Yeah, please, your time.
Yeah.
Be free.
And now, in this way, this is the Bhagavad Gita, and there are several things. If you ask me what is there in Bhagavad Gita, it is very difficult to tell because Bhagavad Gita is a Shastra which it is a gist of all Upanishads. Sarvopanishado Gavaha Dugdha Gopalanandana. So all Upanishads are like cows, and this is the essence of all Upanishads. And whatever you will find, no need to read again all Upanishads, because this is essence of all Upanishads. It tells about the spirituality. It tells about the art of living, how to live in this life. Because our human life is not just materialistic. It is not complete, even though we are normally, in general, living as a materialistic people only. Because materialism, in the sense, we need house and we need vehicles and we need all kinds of luxuries, we need all kinds of facilities and things, materials. But even then, one should remember that only with this materialistic or scientific progress and materialistic objects, our life cannot run smoothly. Everybody feels in his life once these things at least. Even though he is having so much money, even though he is having a lot of luxuries, but one day he will think that oh, why it became like that? My life became miserable. It's so painful. So then he realizes that for the life, not only these materialistic things are important, spirituality also is very important. So in that way, Bhagavad Gita gives the best spiritual teaching to you. This is in general, but Bhagavad Gita teaches you much more, because Bhagavad Gita says, be detached to this world. All problems are coming due to this attachment. Brahmanyadaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyate nasa papena padmapatmivam bhasa. Live like a water drop on the lotus leaf. You see, the water drop is on the lotus leaf, but at the same time, it is not attaching to that. So that is why he gives that example, padmapatmivam bhasa. And how to live this? How to live in this world like a drop on the lotus? Because we have to do various activities. So shall we do activities or not? In fact, Krishna was asked by Arjuna that, tell me, O Krishna, Arjuna asks, tell me, O Krishna, shall we do activities or shall we renounce the activities? What you are teaching? Then he says that the reply is, you had to do activities, but you had to do all activities with the feeling of detachment. See, how to do activities, feeling of detachment, this is what Karma Yoga, we say. We have several kinds of yoga in Bhagavad Gita. Karma Yoga is very, very important, which we learn from Bhagavad Gita. Normally, what we do, when we do any activity, we think about the fruit in the beginning. So Krishna says, you are getting, because that is why we are getting so much tensions and so much mental disturbances to do. Otherwise, we should be, our original nature is blissfulness. See, Upanishad say, Ananda Deva Khal Vimani Bhuta Nijayanti Anande Najata Nijivanti Anandam Paryante Visamvishanti. So, all beings are coming from Ananda. And again they are going into Ananda. Ananda means blissfulness, not ordinary happiness. It's a great, highly blissfulness is our real status. But we are again and again, we are becoming sorrowful, painful because of the attachment to this world. So the spiritual practitioner always is very alert in this matter, and he is not attached to this world. He does all activities, but doing all activities, how he is doing activities without any attachment and without thinking the fruits in advance. See, if you think fruits in advance, then you will find it is very, very attaching and very, very problematic bonding, and you will feel so much burden with this activity. So doing activities without attachment, doing activities, thinking about activity only, not about the fruit, ultimate fruit, is the art of Karma Yoga, art of living. It is very easy, but at the same time, it is very difficult also. Whatever activity we are doing, karma we are doing, do karma without attachment, without thinking about the fruit. Suppose a student is preparing for exams. If he starts thinking about the results of the exams, he will be very much painful. He should not think about the results of the exam. He should study, that's all. He should study and write the exams perfectly. Result, then Krishna says, results you give to me, you leave to me, results leave to me, because the results I will take over. Mate sangos tvakarmani also. Don't do inactivity. Don't indulge in inactivities. Do activities, but the results you leave to God. because God is looking after the results. Basically, we are thinking that we are doing every activity, but originally we are not doing any activity. All activities are done, all results are being done, given by the Almighty God. That is what Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita. Ahankara vimudhatma kartahaviti manyate. Because a lot of science is there in Bhagavad Gita. We have Prakriti, Purusha, Viveka also in Bhagavad Gita. Because we are Purusha, we are very pure nature, pure consciousness. But with the, unfortunately, pure consciousness cannot run in this creation. Because to run creation, for the progression of the creation, we need Prakriti also. Nature also. This nature means not just nature, trees and all this. Nature is used in here, primordial nature. The primordial nature is the cause of the whole nature. The primordial nature, with the association of this pure consciousness, moves further, and the creation is going further and further. So this Srishti, the creation is running with the association of Prakriti and Purusha. So this Prakriti Purusha association is unavoidable. Prakriti Purusha association is unavoidable. Purusha has to associate with the Prakriti, but at the same time, and generally, we are completely associated in nature. That is why we are not understanding what is happening. But Krishna says, association with the nature is important, but be alert that you be conscious and be aware that you are different from the nature. This is what Prakriti Purusha Vivek. Viveka means division. The knowledge of the division. To be aware, to be conscious, to be aware that I am different from the nature is very, very important. But as long as we think that I am associated with the nature, a Purusha thinks Ahankara Vimodhatma, with the illusion of the Ahankara, he thinks Kartahamiti Manyate, I am the doer. But the consciousness, we are pure conscious, we are not doing anything. Originally, this doing all these qualities, doing qualities and seeing qualities, all these qualities are in nature. They are coming from nature. So you should understand, you should realize that you are not doing anything. So this is a great science in Bhagavad Gita. And two types of qualities, Daivi and Asuri qualities. Divine qualities and demonish qualities. Demonish qualities. So the demonish has two kinds of words. Demonish, you can say demonic also we have. So this is Asuri. Some people translate this as ungodly. But ungodly is very far-fetching and demonish is very good word. So this Asuri. So two types of people are there in the world, Krishna says. Some people are divine nature. Some other people are demonish nature. The divine nature people are always happy and they have all good qualities. Like what are the good qualities? Abhayam sattva samshuddhihi, jnana yoga vyavasthitihi, danam damascha yajnascha, swadhyaya stapa arjavam. These are all qualities. These qualities, you know, more or less, I am not going to describe because we have limited time. Means they are not fearful, they are completely fearless, because fear is coming to those people who think there is somebody or something else is existing from me. This is what said in Upanishads. Dvitiyatvai bhayam bhavati. You see, fear is coming from the second person. We think the whole world is one. Where is the second? So that is why this fear is a kind of adharma, unholy quality, not good quality, basically. The fearing is. So abhayam, not fearing, because why we do not fear? Because didiyat vai bhayam bhavati. We think that the whole world is one. Generally also, we preach that whole globe is one family. There is a famous line in Sanskrit literature. Vasudhaika kutumbakam. Ayam nijah paroveti ganana laghuchet tasam. Udara charitanantu vasudhaika kutumbakam. Yeah, Vasudhaika kutumbakam. So this is the motto of Indian philosophy and Indian culture. And Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhi, means they have very clean and pure consciousness, and they have knowledge. Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi, they get the knowledge from scriptures, and they have the experience of that knowledge. Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti, and always be established in this state. Means studying Shastras and also experiencing them is very, very important. Only studying Shastras is given very, very little importance in our philosophy. We say that Shastran yadhityapi bhavanti murkha. Even though after studying Shastras also some people are still stupids because they are not practicing Shastras. Because whole science, Bhagavad Gita and all Shastras, not for preaching, basically. Sometimes we are very much, that's why very shy to teach such things, because these things are not for preaching to others, to practice oneself. Okay, when you practice and when you bring them into your life, you can also teach to others. So that is why these four things are very important. You have to study, and you should understand the scripture. You should study scriptures. You should understand the scriptures. You should practice the scriptures. Then you have to preach the scriptures. We call it adhiti bodha acharana pracharana. Adhiti bodha acharana pracharana. You should study scriptures first. You should understand the scriptures first, Shastras, and then you should practice whatever is taught in Shastras, and then you should preach the Shastras. There is a gradation. There is a clear. It's not that first, without understanding Shastras, you are preaching Shastras to the world. It will be ridiculous. Because Shastras are, what are the Shastras? Shastras are the science of life. Everybody knows them. But unfortunately, people sometimes forget them due to ignorance. And that is why they have so many sufferings and sorrows. So these qualities, divine qualities are great. Ahimsa, satyam, krodha, non-violence is a divine quality. To speak truth is a divine quality. To be not angry, one should not be angry, is a divine quality. So not to be angry is a divine quality. And to abandon, to leave, to sacrifice things for others is a divine quality. And to be very peaceful, mental peace is a divine quality. And then apaishanam means not spreading the gossips. Spreading the gossips means telling bad things about the others. This is not the divine quality. A great person never speaks about the bad about the others. And compassion is a divine quality. And then you can hint, Prabhu, you can hint me whenever just.
You have 5 minutes more, but you can speak more than 5 minutes more.
No, enough.
You want to hear more.
Yeah. Compassion is divine, because I don't want to speak more today. I wanted to listen more today, because we should speak less and listen more from others. This is what Lord Buddha says.
That's good.
Buddha says that we speak less and listen more from others. And that's what Buddha also practiced in his life. You see, when everybody was talking and abusing him sometimes, also he was very silent. So, compassion is a divine quality. And Alolutvam is not attaching to the things is a divine quality, and to be very soft in his heart is a divine quality. See the qualities. To be soft, not harsh. Harsh people cannot be divine. It's very soft. And one should be free. One should be shyful. Shyness. One should have shyness. What kind of shyness? To do bad things, to do unholy things. One should be very shy. There are so many unholy things. The good people are very shy to do those unholy things. And achapalam is not to be fickle. It should be stable. It's a divine quality. But the demonish qualities are very unholy. And there are many, just opposite of all these qualities and demonish qualities. But very important verse, he says, Lord Krishna says, 8th verse, what these demonish qualities people say, asatyam apratishthante jagadahur anishwaram. You see, demonish quality people say that this world is not created by anybody. This is the major quality of Asuri Vritti, demonish quality. Because they say that those who have demonish qualities say this creation is nobody is the creator for this. They say that this world is unreal. See, this is what actually they say. Asatya, they say. This world is unreal, and that there is no foundation of this world, and that there is no God to control this world. It is produced of sexual desires, they say. Asatyam apratishthante jagadahur anishwaram aparaspara sambhutam. This is what the meaning. Aparaspara sambhutam is they say that, oh, this world is progressing because of sexual desires, means union of the women and men, and that is why it is progressing. And has no cause other than the lust. Cause of the creation is the lust. Himanyat kamahaitukam. Kamahaitukam is world is produced, world is progressing, and world is produced. They say world is unreal, and also world is produced, and the cause of this world is lust, kama, they say. Due to kama, it is produced of the sexual desires, and that's why this world is producing like that. And that is why there is no God, no creator in this world. And Kimanyat, they ask, what more can be caused to this world? But this is very, very demonish quality. So divine people never think like that. Divine people think that the foundation of this world is God, omnipresent, omniscient God. Vedas say, Yena Tyaurukra, Prithvi Chadrudha, Yena Swastavitam, Yena Nakaha, Yo Antarikshe Rajaso Vimanaha, Kasmai Devaya Havisha Vidhema. The ancient sages already sung in Vedic period. They already realized that Yena Tyaurukra, Prithvi Chadrudha, Yena Swastavitam, Yena Nakaha. The cause of this creation, who is controlling the sun and moon, everybody, everything, all the planets, Milky Ways, everything. He is a God. He is a Kasmai Devaya Vishapi. He is the embodiment of the blissfulness. To him, we are always saluting. He is there, and he is the foundation of the God. But this is what the divine quality. But the demonish people think that the foundation of this universe is nothing, only desire is the foundation. Following such conclusions, the demonic the people who launch themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. They are engaged in such activities to destroying the world. The demonic taking shelter of insatiable lust. Because they say that lust is the cause of the universe, and they take the shelter into the pride and false prestige, and being thus illusioned, are always sworn to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent. So that is why Krishna says one should have divine qualities, but demonic people believe that to gratify the senses unto the end of the life into the prime necessity of human civilization. Thus, there is no end of their anxiety. They are always anxious. Demonic people are, there is no end of anxiety. Being bound by hundreds and thousands of the desires, by lust and anger, they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. Sense gratification means they compose their sensual organs, means to indriyas, 5 sense organs. So these are all the qualities of asuric qualities described by Krishna in 16th chapter, Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga. And this is a great science of Yoga Shastra. Divine qualities are described very clearly here. Krishna explains the 2 types of people, divine and demonic. One should be divine. We should have divine qualities. Through divine qualities, just now we have heard the unholy people, they are always anguish, they are always unrest, they are not peaceful. The divine people are peaceful in the world. Divine people see the truth of this world. Divine people are spiritual, and divine people always worship the Brahma, the creator of this creation. So this is how Bhagavad Gita teaches us the spirituality and the art of living. We are very happy that we got the great opportunity today to read Bhagavad Gita, to understand Bhagavad Gita. And every month when we practice, when we have such a kind of a good association, we will get the strength through this good association, and our Daivi qualities, divine qualities, develop more and more. I thank all of you, and especially Prabhu Dharmayasa, and those who have introduced me, those who are participating in this webinar. To all, thank. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Thank you very much, Professor Rao.